Welcome back, everybody, to Global Speedrun Association, and this time around to another Super Mario Odyssey 80% league race between NicroVeda and reyalsdiorteM, also known as Raya or Metroid Slayer. Many names, actually, whatever you prefer, really. And I'm also joined by Troy for co-commentary on this one. Pretty interesting matchup. Seeing Nitro race, always exciting. Hasn't been in the racing scene for quite a while, but he is back, and I can't wait.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I think right now we're just getting some loads out of the way, at least for Nicro. That was brought up by us quite a few times. That is actually in fact a little bit slower. When you restart Odyssey, your first load will kind of suffer in Cap Kingdom. Looking at around 2 seconds that you'd lose off of that.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of a annoying thing that exists, but it does.
Yeah, also not exactly sure what causes that, but then again, it's the depths of the Nintendo Switch that are really hard to actually find out about. It loads in general in this game haven't really been figured out. I mean, there's definitely assumptions about the digital version saving time that are relatively consistent most of the time. So if you play on digital over the course of the run, it's pretty much guaranteed that you will save some time with faster loads. But the consistency of these is actually atrocious. That also goes for physical loads, even loads in subrooms. A good example is the one in Sand, the Rumble Room, where you need to ground pound that precise spot. That one can actually vary between like 0.5 seconds. It's actually weird. Don't really know how this game is coded there. But we won't find out during the course of this race. This is something that we might be able to maybe learn more about in the future when we are able to completely emulate this game or like get a better look into the depths of the code. Who knows? These are the depths of Mario Odyssey. We won't explore them today, but we will explore the depths of the speed game. We do have obviously two pretty skilled runners here. They're super high up on the leaderboards. This is pretty much goes for anybody in this league. But Nitro currently third place in the world, 1:00:30 his PB, only 6 seconds off the current world record, and definitely feasible for him to grab that one back in the near future potentially.
Yep, and if anyone saw the thing before, you would notice that they were adjusting their dates for cheat things, but we're doing cheat prevention things. But we are starting the run.
Nope, they're actually cheating. They're setting their date to 2020 so they can go for the 2020 strats to get sub-hour. That's actually what they did.
Yeah, obviously.
But with that out of the way, we are starting fresh Cap Kingdom. Wouldn't call any favorites here. Actually, I think Raya might have the upper hand in Cap Kingdom. I know he's been getting some low 220s, which might slightly be above like Nicro's best split here, but in a race, it's pretty hard to get that consistency. Dancer, however, who is actually a participant in this league, has been known for crazy cap times, also has been actually getting a 219 in this league already, so this guy's not crazy actually. But yeah, Rhea right now taking a slight lead going onto the level.
Yeah, I think it just looked like Nitro had a bit of like slower rolls there. It wasn't really anything that's gonna majorly impact anything.
Yeah.
It's what happened.
Super minor things you can do there, for example, like buffering a spin pound after the cutscene when Cappy gets introduced to you, which is maybe, if you do it well, gonna save you around 0.4, 0.3. But this is the values that people are looking at when they're trying to optimize Cap Kingdom, because there's not that much you can do. Another thing they're obviously still doing here is these frog vectors. Looks like Nitro actually got a lot more speed on these vectors, so maybe be making up a little bit of time, but Rhea is carrying this lead to that door, and if he gets that left side,
yeah, this is the real important part of Cap Kingdom, being that left side. And now going into Topper. Gonna be finishing this off. It's a real quick fight.
Yep.
And why we can go so quickly from this to the potential 219.
Yeah, both of them obviously using that spin throw strat for a second hit. This is probably the most recent strat in Cap Kingdom that has been added. It's been quite a while since anything has actually been found for this. It's at a point where this is probably the most optimized kingdom, and there's really like a point in time now where we can't really find anything new to save additional time in that split. But won't matter here because these guys are already in Cascade. Pretty much one cutscene apart. Interesting sync here between the two cutscenes. But another thing coming into play right now is the first moon skip. I'm almost sure that Rare is going to be going for the wall jump here. Not sure if Niko will try to go wall jumpless. Looks like he will at least try.
Yeah, Nicro went wall jumpless there. That was a good setup for it. And Raya's having a bit of trouble getting towards the T-Rex, allowing Nicro to actually catch up here as we're going into T-Rex.
Yep. Rhea did get an unfortunate bonk there. If you go for the wall jumpless version, you actually need to do kind of a spin pound after the wall jump to get back to high speed. And that makes that triple jump up to the higher platform a little bit weird. Rhea not making that and taking a bonk. Nicro is going to take the lead happily.
And now we're in Mad and Brutal, just going through, getting the captures on this, and the Chain Chompkins. Nigro's still ahead, getting just by a little bit with the, it's just by like a couple seconds really.
Yeah, not that much. Pretty much exactly what that bonk lost Rhea earlier going into that section. And also Nicro actually with a pretty solid cascade. He got the wall jumpless first moon skip, he got a good fight. There's still a little bit of tricky stuff coming up right now after the multi-moon. Still 2 more moons to be acquired. First one, the easier one. The second one, technically easy to obtain, but getting out of that little alcove might prove difficult because they will be going for the chest clip, and there's actually 2 different versions of going for this. One is kind of playing it safe, stand on top of the chest, line up, set up, get the clip or miss it. The other one is just throwing Cappy early and then try to long jump to backflip into the moon as it kind of spawns. Pretty precise timing. Is around a second faster though. It's actually pretty big times if you go for the fast version. It looks like Nicro does like a semi version. He goes up to the chest. He will get the clip, it looks like, and he's taking his lead with him to sand.
Yeah, both of them able to get the chest clip pretty smoothly, both opting for the safer version. And I'm guessing mostly because I didn't even really know of the alternative strat existing. So I'm guessing like people are just more used to that. Especially in a race setting, you want to be safer.
Yeah.
At least this early.
It's true, and then as you bring that up, this is also a good point to briefly talk about the point distribution here, because being safe is definitely a good strategy for a race, because you obviously want to get to the finish line as fast as possible without big flaws and big errors. But in this league setting, you actually get rewarded for taking a little bit more risks, because not only do you get points for winning, 40 is the point total here for a win, but there's also an additional point pool with 20 pools that gets distributed depending on how well you do. So if you go for all of the fast strats and beat your opponent by quite a big amount of time, you will actually get more of that point pool. If your opponent manages to catch up until the very end and gets pretty close but still loses, he's going to get the majority of that point. But if you want to see the exact distribution of that, you can type !leaks, find the document where you see the exact point totals and the distribution, how that works. We are also going to be bringing up the points for these runners as this race is ending. But for now, Nicro is holding onto a very tiny lead, probably around 1 or 2 seconds. More like 1.
Right, and this gap is going to close just from very minor movement things. Like, you know, it only separated from a bonk, so things like missing a spin pound, a buffered spin pound, missing any, like, just your pathing not being optimal, it can easily turn this around.
Yeah, for sure. Pathing is actually huge. That's something that many people still ignore up until this day. Rhea is actually having a lot of issues.
That was like the 5th ground pound.
Yeah, I think it was actually the 4th. But still obviously just as bad. Sadly, this moon can be quite deceiving. It's actually not on top of the dune, it's slightly off. The game tries to incentivize you to use the rumble feature of the controller to kind of find it. We obviously technically know where it is, but still causes trouble occasionally. But now it's time for Dram. Necro goes for the Ice Dram, the faster version of the trick right now. There's even the faster one that nobody's going for. Rhea's going for the original, the OG. But looks like both of them will be able to get that. Nice. Gonna be time for it's almost time for Swings clip here, as these guys roll from luggage, lost in the luggage moon, over
Yes.
to the Swings.
And it's very important. We're gonna go for the single clips or the double clips. Necro is going in for double clip, and we got Rhea getting having a messing up on the first try in that clip, having to do a second try on it. But yeah, we're both going for double clips here.
Yeah, the double. Literally. Rhea has a miss there on the first attempt. That's actually not as bad as missing it on the second one. He will get another miss. One miss is fine. That's not a big deal. Actually, it's arguably to say that one miss doesn't lose time, because in that case, the bird will just be closer to him in the Oasis. So that's fine. Nitro actually getting both clips first try, which is also nice. Ooh, very nice spin for a roll cancel there to catch the bullet bill very far away from him. That's optimal because that capture animation is fast as far as like the movement from Mario in this state goes. So you want to capture that early. You will get that as well. Jaxi skip out of the way for Nitro. Ray about to approach that section. You will get the Jaxi skip. And the scary part of Sand is pretty much over. Nitro will take his lead to another level here. Mainly actually caused from the Dune Moon, which is very interesting. But we are looking at probably around 5 to 7 seconds now, compared to the 1 second that was between them when they got the Rumble Moon.
Right. Yeah. It's just a little bit of just a little messy of a Sand Kingdom for Rhea on this run, so that's what's resulted in the gap that we're seeing now.
But we see right here, Rhea actually missing the double clip once. The bird is way closer to him, though he actually ended up kind of missing the moon there and the maximum height. Nitro very, very fancy. Now it's actually super hard to get the notes like that with one spin throw. But yeah, usually it doesn't really lose you time if you miss the second clip once. But Rhea, as he pretty much just summed up, having a little bit of issues here at the end as well, not grabbing that bird moon optimally, and also notes not as clean as the ones that Nitro got. I'm actually super surprised. I'm actually super interested to see what that sand was for Nitro, because that was pretty much mistakeless. With one spin throw notes as well, getting a 10:07 fade out, and his cascade was obviously clean, but I mean his run in general has been pretty fantastic. 10:07 is really good, but that sand especially was really, really, really good.
Right,
I can't recall any mistakes.
Right, and the performance from Rhea in Sand Kingdom is a bit, it's like a bit like not a bit unexpected from Rhea. He has been pretty consistent with his beginning as of late, from what I've seen.
Well, if Nitro wants to keep this really good run going, there's definitely a strat coming up here that he is going to be going for. I always say that he was actually the first person that started doing this clip in runs. He kind of forced everybody else to do it because people realized, okay, Nitro is getting like 4-second better legs than we do, and he's saving additional time in Metro, so we actually need to start doing this. And up until this day, he has been proven to be pretty consistent. As he will actually get a fake clip right there. Cappy clipping, and then Mario not being able to clip is something that can occasionally happen here. Tries to get another setup. Will get it right here.
And Rhea going for it as well. Oh, got the clip, did not get the jump. And there's a fake clip as well. And at this point, he's just going to give up and go for the old route here.
Okay, I feel like that's actually a super interesting instance. I feel like this might have been this kind of race where Rhea is not 100% confident with leg clip, but was like, okay, I know Nicro's gonna do it, so I try.
Almost like forced to do it because he knew that Nicro would.
Not paying off for him, and that I still think it's respectable that he ended up just dodging it at this point. Nicro's pretty much flawless run, taking a little bit of a hit here off of him not getting the clip first try and even having a little fake clip there, taking a couple of seconds to reset up. But he's still going to be in the lead, even though it looks like Rhea currently would be in the lead. But Nitro is obviously only going to have to collect 2 additional moons, and then he's warping back. Rhea's going to sit through the entirety of the multi-moon cutscene here in Rango.
Right, and that is the huge difference. It's about a 40-second cutscene that you have to go through from finishing Rango to getting the Odyssey.
Yeah, from the moment that Rango gets like dizzy, I think if I remember correctly, it's like 1 minute and 15 seconds until the kingdom is actually over. So it's pretty much only cutscenes after you hit him for the last time, and it takes a really long, a big amount of time. But you see here, Nicro is already globing in. He's going to be getting a 13. Surprising, thinking that he actually got a 10.07 sand. So this was like a 3.03 lake, something that he definitely that probably loses like more than 10 seconds to his gold, which is interesting. But this is mainly obviously due to his lake clip not working out too nicely.
All right, to be exact, I saw about a 13.08 for Nicro on the going to black after the banner.
But still like 9
And
seconds.
13.28 for Rhea, so we're about 20-second difference now.
That's an interesting value going into Wooded, because a missed nut clip without the rock clip backup would probably lose you more than these 20 seconds. I'm not sure if Nicro's confident with going for rock clip. I haven't actually seen him do that clip in quite a while. He's usually very consistent at nut clip, though. I can say that for sure. But if he was to miss that, I think he might be going for the old route if he was to miss it, because we obviously still have yet to go there. Another thing that I'm interested about is last race he was not going for the tree strat. Was racing Chaos, I think, in the last... I'm not sure if that was... Yeah, I think that was the last matchup, Nicro versus Chaos. And Chaos decided to go for the tree. Nicro dodged out on that one.
Yeah, I was about to ask if they're potentially going to go for the skipping the story moon.
Yeah.
Because that is an option. It does look like Nicro is setting his camera up to go that way.
Very
so
quick
he
capture.
Is doing that route.
That's what you want, right? You want to capture that uproot quickly. He doesn't get the optimal boosts. You can actually, if you capture the uproot while it's still in the air and get these boosts in, he will kind of like fly towards the tree. So he's definitely still saving time if he gets the weird version of the...
And Rhea is actually... Rhea's choosing to not do that route. So if Nicro ends up like messing up the jump from the P-switch skip, which is the most likely of the mess-ups to happen, if any do, then that is something to definitely be looking out for Rhea.
Yeah. So both of them getting nut clip and both of them getting the out of bounds movement. That's what used to be first moon skip in races back in the day is this section now. It's always nice to see them go out of there. But with Nicro going for that advanced version of this route, nobody's really safe until you actually enter the tower with that route, because that's the first time you set a new checkpoint. If you die anywhere from basically the shop up until you enter the tower, you will spawn back at the shop, unless you grab that checkpoint. I'm interested. I think this is like a nice adaptation that runners should be making in races. You see the checkpoint on the other side there. If they kind of roll through that while they make their way over to the plant.
Even just like a cappy throw into it would also be
fine.
Like
a roll cancel jump with a cap throw, maybe that. We'll see. I doubt it though, because usually the optimal roll line is what Nicro just took there.
And Nicro is avoiding it. Or not really deliberately avoiding it, just taking the optimal path and doing this. And this is where we really are gonna see if this is the really important jump.
Yeah,
gotta go all the way from here to skipping the flower. Gonna do a bit of a safer idea.
Nice.
From doing it from that end. You can actually do it from the other side of the piranha plant, and that's the more annoying jump, but able to do it from the safer side. And so is going to maintain the lead.
Yeah, it's actually optimal to go from the side that Nicro did, but he played it safe with a long jump. Very optimally, you would actually just roll boost on top of that railing, but that's like crazy. Not sure if anybody's gonna start doing that ever. We'll see. But he's definitely saving a little bit of time with that Piranha Moon story moon skip. And now we actually get to see what the lead is really looking like, because they seem to be so close, but obviously Nicro was a moon ahead.
Right, Nicro having the ability now to go back to the mainland. Rhea will have it as well. And getting that buffered jump there, well done.
Interesting triple jump, cap return jump. I love that thread actually. He's not getting it optimally. You can kind of up throw to get a cap return jump and then spin throw to break the nut. The spin throw wasn't really cooperating with him, but that's just as fine as it really gets. This is a very, very solid run so far. minor mistakes. The biggest one so far being that late clip miss. Other than that, this is pretty hot stuff from Nicro. And just like that, we will be able to actually give you guys another update on that lead difference here. Nicro just grabbing that last moon, getting pipeway perfectly. It's a pretty tight cycle that you need to kind of race against here in this room to get both moons without taking damage and still going through the room quick enough.
Yeah, in between kingdoms, getting the Odyssey here, it's a good, you know, pretty much the times when people would normally set their splits to are typically good places to look for the markers and figure out the time difference.
So what I find remarkably here, and I mean it makes sense, it pretty much is, Nicro's one was pretty much perfect other than Lake, because the best fade out here in Wooded that I've seen in a long time that was also in a race was by Little Curbs here in 18:15. Nicro got a 27, so that's 12 seconds worse than what Curbs got, which is crazy because thinking that he made 12 seconds worth of mistakes just doesn't seem realistic, but it was most likely completely due to Lake clip. Like he lost like 9 seconds there, so another 3 maybe with some movement flaws. But this Wooded was awesome as well.
And 1851 for Rhea. So we got a, if I can do math, 14?
24, I think.
24. I forgot a tens digit. Yeah, 24 seconds apart right now.
Actually hard. I am agreeing.
Yeah, so the not much distance was gained between it at all in the Wooded Kingdom. It stayed pretty much the same, which is interesting to think about, considering that Nicro did the faster route.
Yeah, did we actually have 24 though in Lake? I thought we had like 21.
It was 20 seconds in Lake.
Okay, yeah, but that is actually pretty solid.
That is solid, but I thought the difference between those two routes was wider than 4 seconds.
No, it's like it saves like 2 seconds actually only. Like that's the difference there. And then Rhea also had a pretty unfortunate mistake after the nut on the dead end. He got like a spin throw, so he wasn't able to immediately dive. Kind of makes sense. So I'm guessing Nicro saved like 1 second or like 1.5 seconds with going for that tree. And Rhea had a little bit of a hit there. But both of them, other than that, were very solid Woodeds. But Lost coming up here for Nitro, and this is actually, as I say that, it's already starting to show a little bit. Lost in races. Oof.
Yeah, missed the original triple jump on the ground, and so was having to do the older method here on the tree.
This is already hitting him very hard. He actually ended up dying here in this last matchup against Chaos on that butterfly moon. That's yet to be gotten, yet to be obtained. But that initial mistake, let's see here, moon popping in at 45. That just decimated his lead. We are looking at like 10 seconds now, so that lost him like 14 seconds. Oh, almost falling down again.
Able to get the ledge grab, very good reaction there. But yeah, definitely because of the trouble that he just had with the triple jump, or the meme tree as a lot of people will call it, it is definitely has closed that gap significantly.
Yeah, for sure. I like Rhea's setup here, turning the camera in a way that he's just going to be able to dive out of that cutscene. Cap dive into that moon. That's pretty nice.
Right, we still usually have sorry. We do still have You go!
Okay, it's actually already over, so my point is invalid at this point. I was interested if Nike was going to go for a specific strat here, but you take over again.
Okay, I was actually going to talk about the cage triple jump, so this is the part that I thought potentially could cause another trouble for the gap, but Nicro is able to get it perfectly and get the moon underneath the bridge.
Yep, very nicely done. Skipping that wall jump, getting out there as well. So this Lost, other than the start, ended up being just fine. But the start losing him, like, as far as our timing is considered, this is obviously not super. This is more like looking at the numbers other than actually inspecting frames. But the lead going into this kingdom was 24 seconds. We see that banner pop up here at 22 for Nicro. For Rhea, I'm assuming it's going to pop up at... It's actually even worse now. It's going to pop at 28. So suddenly 6 seconds between the two runners. After, like, Nicro's... Looking at these numbers, Nicro just lost, like, 18 seconds in this kingdom.
You're splitting at banner?
No, I'm not splitting at banner, but it was, like, the first visual cue that I had to give a statement. Nobody splits at banner, dude. In 2019?
Wow. For shame, Limcube.
Wait, what do you mean? I'm not splitting at banner. Literally no one splits at banner in 2019. It's over. That's not RTA viable anymore. No, but once again, using that banner to give you guys some value, some data, some knowledge. Oof, Nicro taking a bonk here. This is going to cause him to do a interesting backflip dive back up. Oh, Rhea bonking but not falling down. So he is actually taking the better end of that. And right now this race is getting closer and closer again.
Oh, and as you say that, Ray has messed up a little bit of a jump and is going to have to wall jump after this girder sandwich.
Literally cursed.
Yes, completely cursed, as we are now back to, I'd say, somewhere around 20-second gap.
Yeah, that's crazy. That loses so much. I feel like I remember people intentionally going for that at some point in time. Like in the very first runs, people wall jumped up there. It's actually only 12 on that fade out here for the City Hall, but still that loses so much. I think very early, like literally day one, people tried to get that moon by like jumping down and then wall jumping up, but Jesus, that's slow. Okay, nicely done by Nacro, getting over that gap. Pretty scary section here, falling there. One of the biggest time losses in the run, actually. But yeah, I'm not sure, Troy, if you caught yesterday's matchup between Curbs and Chaos, where the race seemed to be very decided going into the very last room, and then Curbs lost like 1.5 minutes, literally getting invisible walled and falling literally basically on his last input. So
right,
up until
I
this
did
point,
catch the clip that the Twitter put out. You can go follow GSA on Twitter, by the way. Do that.
Yeah, that's a nice lead way to the Twitter. But yeah, up until now, we can actually never say anymore that the race is over, because we know that can happen, and it has happened now. So no lead save, literally.
Yeah, it's so true, and I've like, it's something I always I like to point out in a lot of speedruns, especially ones that are like, people think, oh, this is so one-sided, like this guy has such a better PB than the other runner. It's like, dude, it's a race. We can't reset. There's so much that can happen.
And I gotta say, once again, Nicro's run here, going into Wooded and even going out of Wooded, was incredibly clean. Lost just hit him very hard, but on the other end, Rhea, who technically does have the worst PB here, his race consistency in general has been very solid throughout this. I have yet to see like a really bad showing from Rhea in any race. I haven't seen one. So he is kind of in that Stravos level. I mean, Stravos is arguably on another level. He's probably known to be the most consistent racer out of everybody we've seen so far. But I mean, we still have a lot of races to be had. But Rhea also up there with the grades.
And that's looking to be about a 10-second difference going into Day Metro.
Maybe Mecha Wiggler slightly being in Rhea's favor there. Sometimes a better pattern can cause you to save a little bit more time. I think it was 12 as they headed into the City Hall.
I estimated. It might still be a 12-second gap. So I don't know. I just said about 10. Oh, missing the scooter clip.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Oh,
and the backup doesn't look good.
Oh, he is not getting any of these backups.
He can't get it from there. Oh, jeez. He's actually going to be behind.
Yeah, we're now at like about 2 seconds between the two players.
Oh, Rhea!
And now Rhea taking a bonk on the top.
Okay, we're in there. For some reason, this story moon cutscene in Metro always seems to be like a sinking point. Nike would need to make a couple mistakes here to allow Rhea to come back here after this pretty costly bonk. Yeah, but for some reason, this section tends to sink runners back up.
Yeah, Metro is such a devious kingdom. It has so many things in the way that can cause you to bonk bonk and slow down in general that it becomes such a troublesome kingdom that people don't even often consider.
This is going to be the perfect showcase here. This specific line that Nicro tries to take, he will actually take a pretty good line. Actually, quite different than most people do, not going for the setup, but is not going to take a bonk here. Pretty much just, I can't even tell you. We'll see another fade out happen here, but I'm assuming this to be less than 3 seconds or around 3. Pretty much 50 flat for Nicro there on that fade out. And actually, that's interesting. 4.5, it looks like. But Nicro immediately taking a bonk. No words are actually valid in this commentary. Everything you say gets, I guess,
yeah,
proven
completely
to be invalid, like immediately. Yep, another mistake here.
Just the bonks keep happening, and now we got like a simultaneous moon capture.
It's over. It's over. This cutscene every single time. This is gonna be framed, like almost framed.
Yeah, pretty much. Nicro did end up getting. Nicro did get a first person there. I thought that would potentially differentiate and keep the lead, but it wasn't enough. And Rhea has taken it by. Oh, did Nicro then gets the map first?
Okay, that actually makes sense though, because he did late clip. So that's something that I actually completely forgot.
Oh, that's the good point, yeah.
He didn't have the Capitex there.
Right, yeah, Nicro didn't have Capitex because he had already opened the map where Rhea had not done that yet. So that's a very good point. We didn't even think about that, but yeah, so Nicro taking it back because of being able to do late clip. Yep,
another time save that you get off of that. Clip a little bit later in the run, but almost having once again these musicians cutscenes I've seen. I think this is where we've seen the most things like ever. It's actually crazy. Nicro missing that spin point. Rhea will get it. Will take the lead back.
Metro Kingdom, you're such a pain.
Okay, let's see. Nicro pretty early ambassador for this sniping ground pound here. Will get it.
Yeah, I have to say that generally I've known that if you're doing a run, if you make it out of Metro, you're gonna complete that run. And so it's showing so much truth here, like with all the minor things that are happening, that I think in any sort of run, someone might just end up resetting because it would tilt them so much.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, let's see. Nitro's moving here pretty hot, going over these poles to grab that moon. I haven't actually checked coin counts. Won't be able to see them now, I think. Yep, at this point. It briefly showed up for Rhea. There was definitely a 1. So Rhea should be way above 100. Looks like Nicro at like 116. So both of them will be fine going to snow.
Yeah, I definitely both of them getting Sphinx clips and the Jaxi skips pretty well. That it resulted in there not really being any much of a problem for coins.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't get as many in the Sphinx room, but looked like it was fine for both of them. At this point, runners have figured out how to throw Cappy and home him to or her or it to get optimal coins.
It is a him.
Oh, true, it's the him, and then we have Tiara as well.
Yeah, canonically, and yeah, the Tiara is his sister.
True. There's actually lore to this game. I almost
forgot
at this
know
point.
Your Odyssey lore. Come on. Just like I know almost all the enemy names in this game, you gotta know your Odyssey lore.
I'm still learning that, man. I've been getting corrected so much, calling the kombu guys seaweeds. I guess kombu's like Japanese for seaweed. I recently learned that again.
Yeah, Lake Kingdom was Seaside. I don't know
Seaside, yeah. It's in Seaside. Yeah.
Start to like not know my enemies, but I am a huge fighter for calling them Typhoos and not Blowy Joeys because they are Typhoos, and that is a better. No, Typhoo is such a better name, and Nintendo came up with it. What is this other name? It doesn't even. It's stupid.
It's too late to apologize at this point. Blowy Joy is officially. Actually, Nintendo probably has to write an apology because at this point, Blowy Joy is the official name.
No.
Just no. Nah, whatever. Well, I think we actually
might... It's so clever. It's based off of typhoons. It uses foo because of the whole blowing thing with like patuis and stuff, and it's just like, come on.
Well, to see more of them, we might actually see. Never mind. I was about to see. We might actually see some snow clips happening because this is obviously their habitat here. That blowy joy room, where you gotta get that cycle. Ray's actually opting for a spin point on that moving wooden platform. Nitro will probably go for the triple jump instead. This is something that he's been pretty good at.
Yeah,
much
successfully getting the triple jump off of the Taifu's wind there. And we'll now be using a Taifu as we are getting rid of all these spinies.
No, that's the wrong room, I think. Currently, they're actually in the blowy joy room. I don't know the Taifus. What? Don't know anything about that.
Well, if you go on your Switch right now and go into the capture menu in English, it says Taifu for that enemy.
I'm not sure about that. Well, anyways, there's much more important things to be brought up, such as Reyes bonk there on that wooden pillar. That was definitely not that optimal. Goombas, though, I think I can agree on calling these guys Goombas. Can we agree on that? I'm down to agree.
Yeah, they're Goombas. They're Goombas.
Okay. Goombas. I'm fine with Goombas. Nitro actually not getting. I mean, Rhea actually not getting the best RNG there. It looks like Nitro might actually also won't be getting that. Usually, it would be best to stack if the other two come to you, so you can stack them up while the pillar is falling. But this is actually a little bit of RNG.
Yeah, there is the worst RNG where one of the Goombas just starts walking towards the edge. They do get stopped, but you do actually have to make sure to actually get on the Goomba stack quickly enough. Otherwise, for some reason, if you just let it keep walking towards the edge for long enough, the edge, I guess, just gives up on holding him, and he just falls off. And it's... But anyway, we got Snowdram coming up, so this is going to be a very important part here. As Nicro gets a bonk on one of the Shivarians.
Okay, I hope maybe that gives him luck now going into Snowdram. We've actually seen a couple Snowdram misses recently in races that also ended up deciding. I mean, it ended up not deciding the race. Chaos missed Snowdram twice in his matchup versus Curbs and then still won because of that invisible wall. So even though this one is pretty big, might not be race deciding. Still very nice to get that rare, nicely delayed rainbow spin.
It looked a little bit late.
It was close. It was close.
I thought we were gonna get a ledge clip over here.
Oof, that was interesting. So Nicro adapting these little tiny vectors in between his inputs, which is something you mostly see from like the trick jumping community, where they literally vector every single input. Vectoring is obviously when you kind of steer Mario in like a 45-degree angle in the air. And he tried to, it was very visible at the last portion that he tried to get that initial vector on that cap throw, and that ended up gaining him some extra distance. Was also visible.
Can you vector off of a cap bounce?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And you can even like vector the rainbow spin. You can kind of get some extra momentum in there between all of these inputs.
So that would definitely make it away if you can consistently do it to make it safer.
Yeah, and that's also probably the beginning work to make that jump work without a setup. Because once people figure out how to get optimal vectors there, they might not even need the setup anymore with the camera, which would obviously save time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But going over to this first moon on Seaside, I know my kingdoms.
I like that strat from Nicro. This is actually something that we have yet to name. I feel like officially everybody calls this differently. These are like these up-close wall bounces, where you kind of have Cappy hover close to wall and then dive into Cappy to get a bounce and no bonk. Very niche use of the strat. This is probably mainly the reason why nobody has actually come up with a good name for this yet. But
yeah, it's used again there.
Now, I mean, it can be used there. Rhea decided not to do it. Nicro will also not do it. What they did there is basically just a cap dive towards the wall. But what Nicro did at the very start is you have Cappy literally next to the wall, and then instead of bouncing, you dive into Cappy. That makes that faster. Right. People might occasionally do that and like wood it out of bounds. Very, very niche, actually. It's useful in some places, but not used much in any percent.
Anyway, we're in the Rocket Flower refresh time now. Oh,
okay.
That is not good.
No, that was actually probably very, very courageous. I'm not sure if he tried that intentionally, but you can actually get that without the ground pound if you time the spin flow right. So maybe he tried doing that on purpose.
Yeah, it looked like that might have been possible from what it was. Like I kind of understood that that might have been what he was going for, but it just with that, I just could tell that the hat no longer had the rocket flower.
The rocket flower, yeah. I can't promise you that he actually did that intentionally. That would deserve some credit because it's possible. And I myself, I'm pushing for people to try go for that because we see here it didn't lose him much time. It might have lost him like a second. And it saves you like 2 if you get it, like what we call the two frame. Something that I expect to be seen in runs at some point. Maybe Sub-O will have it. I don't know. Maybe Sub-O will try it and not get it. We'll see. I like that at least.
Yeah, Raya's still in the lead right now as Nicro. Oh yeah, actually, when did Raya take the lead? It's actually hard to tell who was in the lead because we just got out of Metro. So in my mind, I was like, okay. But yeah, Raya now has the lead as we are ending Seaside Kingdom here.
Yeah, pretty sure Raya started to have the lead from the ground pound atop the highest building in Metro and pretty much kept it throughout.
Right. Okay.
That was pretty much when.
Right, I'm sorry, I got too distracted by our arguments that we had earlier.
No, I can see that's no was actually also pretty eventless. There weren't any like huge mistakes or any huge threats. And bringing that up, we also see Raya with some comments here. Looking at the overall pace of this run, I am pretty sure that this run is very good for Raya. Like if we think back how good Nicro's one was, and current PB for Raya is a 101.18, and these are like 2 low 101/100 pace runs. 100 probably not though, but low 101 is definitely possible for Raya technically.
Yeah, having a very good mid game at this point. The early game not the best, but definitely making it up in the later kingdoms. But Luncheon being another troublesome kingdom, having a lot of tricks, especially from the start with the salt triple jump.
Yeah, that would still require a pretty awesome late game though to still get that low 101, but it's possible. And when I say low, I mean like 10, 101, 10, which would be a PB for Raya, I think. But we'll see. Luncheon, pretty devastating kingdom.
Right, and Raya just overshooting the moon just a little bit as Nitro actually turns the camera to properly see where it is. It's not the easiest moon to target yourself to get, especially it's not on screen. It's just a minor thing as we're going into Spirit now.
Exactly.
And if we were to come up with new names for characters, this is the only one where I would accept a new name for, because Spirit is a terrible name.
I have an even better idea, dude. We should just route him out of the run.
It's been worked on. It can, in theory, it's possible.
Yeah, don't tell me. I spent like way too much time of my life trying to make any brunch and routes work.
I just like I don't even
success.
want to like. The moment I get a capture card, the first thing I'm gonna do is like not even like try to run the full game of any %. I'm just purely gonna get a full segment of Brunchin. Like, because no one has that.
Yeah.
Because right now the theory tab, like the theory best Twitch time, best time theory thing, has it segmented. So I'm just like, I want a single segment of Brunchin to happen.
Yeah, that's probably possible. Once again, if you do get Brunchin, even in a full segment, and even segmented, it's still a little bit slower at this point. We don't really know how to skip the meat just fast enough, which is actually what is required to make that a feasible route. But doing this in one segment is incredibly hard. I cannot even tell you how many things need to go right. You need to use the Goombas right to jump over to that section. Then you need to actually get the meat skip. You need to get the clip into the pot. You need to actually get the multi-moon. It's crazy. But that deserves like a 1 hour time slot on its own. For now, that lead is actually shrinking a little bit for Raya. It's not really fair to say. It might still be around the same. But it's very small, and one mistake should seal the deal and get Nicro the lead back.
Right, both successfully Kobeing into the pot as we are going over to Salt Pile Isle.
Let me see. Raya and Nicro both getting the cycle on the portable, won't be missing that one. I really like entering Fox the way they did. You kind of uncapture the portable spin throw, and then Cappy just opens the door for you. Very practical. Pretty much this one moon apart. This is definitely a very, very quick moon, the second one in Fox after you've already obtained the first one. To be fair though, it's definitely also nice to see how both of them haven't been really making any mistakes. So even though Rhea is just slightly ahead, he hasn't allowed Nicro to catch up yet. But this one is probably the section we should be looking at, because mistakes happen here all the time. Not getting the speed on the turnip, not getting the turnip to be in a nice position, not clipping first try. Rhea's playing it safe with the long jump here.
And also getting the people's turnip as not really going for much of a yeet there, just kind of just doing a little of a mini throw. Both of them kind of doing mini throws over there.
Didn't clip first try. Oh no, he actually, I don't know. I don't know.
Getting
That's
a better
not,
setup.
I don't think that's what he wanted. I think that turnip was in a good position, but I don't, okay, this should work. Oh, he still is not far enough on the left. This should work. Oh, he's really getting hit hard by this.
Nicro definitely having the lead at this point. I thought it was just going to be like a little minor lead, but Rhea having so much trouble with that turnip clip. This is resulting in
rough.
a pretty large gap now. It's turned into back to probably somewhere in the 10 to 20 second range.
Yeah, actually like more than 20, more like 20. It's crazy because I feel like Rhea actually didn't want to readjust the turnip and rather wanted to like capture the pan bro again to try again, because his initial position seemed like it could have worked, but then obviously getting hit very hard there. As far as his pace of runs going, no PB's gonna be happening for him anymore for sure. Sadly, but there's still a race to win potentially, because even though Nicro has the lead back, it's not like he can lose it again.
Right, Bowser's Kingdom is certainly a kingdom that's gonna cause some trouble. I mean, we do have Ruined next, which is not gonna cause any trouble. I don't expect it to, although things have happened before. I'm not gonna say things because people get annoyed. I think that one certain player gets really annoyed whenever we mention that happening, but that happened. But you know, Ruin's happening, and then we got Bowser's Kingdom, which can be very troubling.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ruined, it's actually worth to say, I'm not sure if that's still true at this point in time, but back when we actually released the last best theoretical time video, which was in early December, Rhea actually had the best single segment of Ruined. Like his Ruined time was the best. So these minor little optimizations that he might opt to do here might cause the lead to shrink a little bit, and that might set him up for potentially getting the lead back in Bowser's, and also once again bring up the point system, maybe like closing the gap a little. But that's really all we can realistically get from Ruined, and we're looking at like 2 to 3 seconds.
Right, and I chose a bad wipe to use, but it's still there. It was about a 20-second gap, yeah.
And there we go, Nico's already off to the fight. It's actually confusing me now when I'm watching this, when people just fly over there to the fight, because I've been running so much Darker Side, and you actually get the little treasure chest hidden there that many people that only exclusively watch Any% and don't own the game might actually not know about, but there's an additional moon.
Yeah, Ruined Kingdom actually has some really cool moons. It's just a shame that you don't need to get any of them.
Yeah, and the problem with these moons are really, once again, this is the Trash Talk and Ruin segment presented to you this time by Troy of Athens and Limcube. This is usually this segment that plays here because literally there's nothing to really explain you guys in Ruin. We've gone over this couple, like 100 times it feels like. You gotta dodge the electric attacks, then you jump on top of the dragon, and then you unplug swords. So it's time for us to talk about post-game Ruined moons. Woo! The sad thing about this game, obviously, is the way these moons are presented later on.
I mean, I have an idea of a thing to talk about.
Wait, what do you mean?
Pace.
Ah, what is Pace, Troy?
Pace is a live event that's happening in Laurel, Maryland, in late April 25th. And I'm gonna be there. Are you gonna be there?
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Exclamation point tickets. You know, live events, the first ever live event of competitive speedrunning. So, you know, gotta be there for it. You gotta be there for the history.
I'm actually typing an exclamation mark tickets immediately. You actually sold me there. This is definitely a must attend event. For real, this is probably going to be super exciting. We'll have the best of the leagues compete live, content-filled events, 24/7 venue. That's definitely something to check out if you are in the area or if you're willing to make the trip to see that with your own eyes. And I'll be there, Troy will be there. Everyone is here, really.
Yes.
But with that being said, we actually bridged that ruined segment pretty nicely. We're already out of here. Nicro did obtain the multi-moon. Rhea just got that right now. Nicro's obviously got a globe in first, and then we're off to Bowser's. And as far as Bowser is concerned, I'm pretty sure we are going to be seeing pretty much around the same strats for everybody. The one difference that I could see here between Rhea and Nicro would be the moon after shards. I know Nicro still goes for the backflip there to kind of approach the moon from the one side and then go towards the pylon from the other side. Many other top level runners have been implementing the what is called Bowser Dram or Capture Warp there, kind of getting that moon and then homing Cappy back to Capture Warp towards the pylon.
Necro with still roughly a 20-second lead coming in here to this troll golem. It's a troll, but yeah. As we get this first.
Yeah, first Story Moon. Story Moon is pretty much the keyword in this kingdom. You actually get 3 Story Moons here, one being from the Ogre, one from Shards, one from the boss refights. I guess you could count the multi-moon from Mac as another Story Moon, so there's only 2 additional moons you need to grab. Most runners grab the one hidden in the corridor that you kind of like destroy some crates to get, and the one on the roof. These are the current fastest ones you can choose from. You can choose from a couple more actually, but they usually do use it at the time. The best replacement for that would be a moon that you can get with another capture warp using one of these Pokeos, but they already passed this one, so we won't be seeing that. Like we're going for the hardest strats here at the start of Shards, going for the dive back, throw Cappy back, dive in the other direction. Pretty weird control stick inputs that you have to make that work.
Basically like 3 in a row of the similar control stick movement. Doing it for the second moon shard, the 4th moon shard, and the 5th moon shard.
Yeah, nicely done. Shards by these guys. We are going to be seeing double Harriet first here, so I'm definitely a fan of that. But first, I'm actually really interested.
People are saying I'm the one with unpopular opinions, and you're the one over here with Harriet first. What is this? Topper first, gang.
Okay, you're saying Topper first is the popular opinion. Yup. It's gonna be a micro-op.
The world record holder does Topper first, so obviously it's a popular opinion.
Micro-op. Well, with that out of the way, Nike definitely not going for the capture op here. Rhea might try to do this. He will throw Cappy back and dive into his death. Never mind. He's able to save himself.
I got really scared, but Ray was able to use the dram to get back onto the pylon.
Yeah, that's the one fortunate thing. If you actually do get your setups just right, Cappy will kind of save you there as you dive towards the abyss.
And yeah, as you said, both players going towards Harriet.
Yeah, this is how it was always done, dude. This is, I mean, you can't tell me that Topper first is a popular opinion. It's an opinion. It's an opinion that people have for some reason.
It's a good one.
I can even agree on that. Like, I'm not even mad. Whoever considers it good,
time.
It doesn't, and it definitely is not popular.
It literally saves time.
Okay, explain that time save to me.
Timpani says it too.
Okay, yeah, then it has to be true. Timpani
Yes.
is literally...
All the world record holders say it.
Yep.
If
Well,
you get
Nitro-
damaged in Topper, which you're more likely to get in Topper, it is more time saving to get the checkpoint flag after the first boss than the second one.
I'm not sure who made that up, but all I can say, these are some random facts that have been thrown around here. Nitro, who actually had the world record also for a very long time, early ambassador of Harriet First, currently in the lead. I mean, it doesn't really matter here because both of them chose to do that. And in the long term, this will probably never matter unless we find like a major discovery here in these boss fights, which would be quite neat because this just doesn't feel right in a speedrun. The segment takes around 90 seconds, just refighting both of these bosses and then grabbing that story moon.
Anyway, into the second half of the Bowser's Kingdom, gonna be going through the blind jumps and a bunch of Pokio jumps and strategies.
No one really... I think actually Curbs is one of the very few... Little Curbs is one of the very few people that opt for that really scary Pokio strat where you kind of stick the Pokio to one of these walls and then fling yourself towards the climbable wall. But no one really goes for that other than him right now. But now, Mech is actually something that would cause Nitro to lose his lead if he was to either fail the initial climb a couple times or not be able to get the target acquired hit, meaning the last hit burns pure. That might just be enough for him to lose his lead. Right now, Rhea is actually struggling to climb up here. At the same time, Nitro is getting the first 2 ground pounds and is going to set himself up to get the Harriet third and then target acquired, namely the Speared hit.
I got the world record holder in chat backing me up right now, so I'm happy.
I see Stravos, the world peace world record holder. They're saying Harriet first is faster, smiley face, but doesn't really matter. We do get target acquired from Nitro in there.
Target acquired.
Very nice.
And a Harriet third coming in for Rhea, going in for the target acquired as well.
First person shoutouts to Curbs. Very nice zoom there, Harriet.
Zooming in on the Harriet.
She looked scared, man. She's about to get ground pounded. Oh, okay, I shouldn't have said that. Anyways, we are going over to target acquired. Nice setup. Let's look at the spin point. Oof, that was quick one as well. Double target acquired. So at this point, there's not too much anymore that Nitro could mess up here to actually allow Rhea to win. But on the other hand side, we wanna remind everybody about the race that happened yesterday, where Little Curbs actually lost a lead by over a minute to pretty much the last jump you make in the game, where he got a occurrence that very rarely happens when you throw out a fireball or a claw swing at the very weird timing as the last pillar is falling. Then you can actually get invisible wall from that final block. He ended up not thinking about that, falling down. Chaos took the win. And there's obviously some other things still in Moon, like the Bowser fight, Moon skip, and the movement of our...
Right, and at this point we do, even if like something like the invisible wall doesn't happen, it's still very important to keep the gap where it is, and because of how points work in this league, so that Rhea can still get the maximum amount of points that he can for this gap. Right now, looking about 2 to 3 points as a being taken away from him, along with the loss.
Yeah, obviously. Which is still respectable. Like if you're still able to get like 16, 17, 18 points all around that, that's still you'll be more happy with a loss like that than if you miss like Nutclip, miss Snowdrum, and then end up losing by 3 minutes and get like 1 point.
Right, I think that's actually a very good quality of this system. It actually, it encourages players to keep the run going, even if it seems like a hopeless thing to win the race. You still absolutely want to keep going so that you can finish and potentially get those points from the gap.
Okay, this gap is very known for NicroVeda. Sorry, man, I just have to bring this up every time. I remember watching these runs, but Nicro lost like 2 world record runs on this specific gap there, world record pace run on this specific gap there. However, right now, that's not happening, but he is actually going to have to reset up his moon skip. Won't lose him too much time, but a little hit and something like a missed Bowser phase, and then a couple pillar mistakes might already seal the deal.
Right, and going into the chapel at 57:39 roughly.
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
think that's
a little bit of a bonk from Rhea at the beginning of the moon clip here, a moon skip.
That's fine. It's gonna be the end. I think Nitro might have lost a little bit more there. He will get to the top here. Nitro's already starting up his boss fight. He will get the first hit in.
Yeah, having about a 25-second difference now entering the chapel and starting up the Bowser.
Yeah, Nitro's just jumping over the first phase of Bowser's flames. He still has to hit him 2 cycles, basically about 2 cycles. We are probably going to be seeing them almost hitting him at the same time. This head capture, though, is the big one. This is the one that people tend to miss occasionally, but Nitro is able to get that. Nicely done. With that out of the way, it's definitely important for Rhea to still get that second phase in, just in case if Nitro makes any mistakes here on the last one. Last one probably the most lenient because you get to damage boost. Nitro actually damage boosting quite late there, but he'd still be able... Oh my god, okay, that was lucky. He actually, I mean, it's not lucky. Sometimes if the head actually is in that position, you do have time to still pick it up. But if the head would have been even closer to Bowser, Bowser would have just grabbed it and jumped away. And that might have not lost him the lead, but it would have hit him pretty hard.
Yeah, that would have been quite an annoying yoink to be seeing there from Bowser.
Alright, Necro struggling a little bit here to get his rolls going, but all that is between him and his, I think, 3rd win of the league, which is actually gonna definitely set him in place as one of the favorites to definitely be at pace as one of the runners, because obviously 3 wins early on, definitely very nice to work with. Pretty good wins as well against pretty skilled opponents.
Yeah, Rhea being definitely one of the solid players in this league, so it's definitely good to have that win against him.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple matchups that I definitely can't wait to see. Yeah, Nitro versus Stravos definitely being one of them. At this point, probably both solidified as high contenders for those #1 spots. But Nitro's obviously getting the 2D skip according to Reddit, only a 25% chance that you get that jump, so it has to be obviously true. He is able to make that work without any issues, so getting quite lucky there. Let's see if Rhea can get just as lucky.
You're gonna have to link me that Reddit post. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for some reason, Smallland was like on r/all, like the main subreddit front page, and people had some very interesting facts to tell us about the speed game in there. Definitely highly recommend.
Oh, beautiful.
Not falling down. The Rhea almost taken a very costly fall. He still definitely wants to close out this race, even if he's not able to come out on top. He wants those points, because right now we are probably looking at around 20 to 30 seconds. Nico is clawing in on the second pillar. Looked like he got the first hit as well, like the first pillar / early pillar. Very good pillar zoom, actually.
Yeah, he did have the good first pillar there. He did actually have to throw out an extra fireball for the first one, but it's still looking to be a fairly good pillars for him.
Yeah, probably like a 53 or 54 something. Very nicely done from Nico. He's still going to be able to get a mid 101 out of this run with some very, very costly mistakes throughout. Probably going to be ending this with a 29, apparently. I was about to say 28, but this is a 29.02.
Great prediction. Way to wait on telling your prediction. That was good jobs.
Yeah, it wasn't even a prediction. I was just not sure if that's exactly 4 seconds. But anyways, Rhea is going to get that pillar in to fall. And looks like he will just come in around 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds difference here. Actually, I don't know. This might be close. Yep, yeah, there's actually more than 30.
There's a 30-second difference, getting that 3-point deficit here, so that is going to be 17 points to Rhea.
Is that correct? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 16, I think. Yeah, 16 to 4. 4 for Nicro, 16. Because for Rhea, it's more than 30 / less than 40. So 16 points for Rhea and 44
I
for
forgot
Nicro.
about the 0 to 10 range.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's the point.
ooh, I like that new copy pastas one. Oh, that's a good one. I've never understood why people try. I'm actually going to read that out loud to Rhea to ask him about this. I've never understood why people try to de-skip. At best, you're saving half a second, but 75% of the time, you lose. Why even bother? Especially if you are not close to world record time. Well, Rhea, I think, left again. Feels bad, man. I tried. I think he just disrespected that statement.
He didn't want to hear it.
Oh, we got Nicro.
We do have Nicro in here.
His 3rd consecutive win, as far as I know, of this league. Pretty hot stuff. How did that feel?
Feels good. Another one down. I don't know. Races are scary, dude.
Yeah. Pretty hot early game, I gotta say. Pretty much up until that failed first lake clip. I think you got like a 10-07 sand, which is solid.
Yeah, really not a bad sand exit. But yeah, lake was the first decent mistake, and then I think Lost kind of set me back a little bit. I had troubles with the tree.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think I played decent.
Oh, scoot clip. But then that's it.
Right,
scoot clip lost, and other than that, that probably lost you 50, and the rest is PB. The rest is PB level, I think.
Yeah,
really solid.
We do also have Rhea joining us, I think.
Hello.
Yep. Yeah, he can hear us now. GG's Rhea getting 16 points from that encounter. Also playing pretty well, not too far away from your PB at all. It was extremely close up until I think what hit you most is definitely cheese skip / turnip clip.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, you can probably let me know how that race felt other than that, and then maybe just explain what happened there.
I actually had a lot of fun with this race because normally with the other races I did not really enjoy them at all, but this one was really fun for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's good that nothing completely disastrous happened.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
For both.
Yeah, both of you definitely put up a good fight. Just some minor movement errors between the two of you. I know, Rhea, you weren't able to pull off the lake clip, but generally everything else was just working out well for you. So it actually turned into a very, very close race.
All right. Nice to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Definitely GG's for both of you. We don't have much time left. 44 points for Nicro, 16 points for Rhea. As we close this one out, going to be going into a quick intermission. Make sure to follow the channel. If you're here for Odyssey, there's going to be lots more Odyssey content. So make sure to stay tuned and see you guys in the next one.
Of course.